You're watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the February 27th meeting of the Michigan City Historic Preservation Commission. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Meeting to order, and if we can do the roll call.
Do I do the roll call?
Yeah.
Did you?
On a sheet, maybe it's the last page.
Greg just became
back
the
the last
secretary.
page.
Okay.
Name on there. Yeah.
Okay, because there's the ones from the last minute.
Yeah.
And then just
You can also
Okay.
turn that sheet over.
Oh, it's on that sheet too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go.
It's
Even
on
better.
safe paper.
That's the official
It's
one.
on
Okay, cool. I like that. Okay. So Joyce Dalton,
Here.
Dan Crenquist,
Here.
Dwayne Hurt,
Here.
John Hendricks,
Here.
Roger Cortez, Amy Bowman,
Here.
Jonas Zimmerman, Greg Coulter's here, Deb Parcell,
Here.
and Kyle Anthony Petter.
Here.
I didn't say your last name right.
No, you did.
Petter? Okay.
It's like letter.
And then you're not on the roll yet.
Lawrence Zimmerman.
Lawrence, okay.
You're saying Lawrence or
Lawrence.
Lawrence?
Lawrence.
Okay.
Andrew here. Okay. So there's a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, then can we have approval of our agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second, please.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you. Okay, I hope you had a chance to look over your minutes from the last meeting. Do we have a motion to accept those?
Fresh
Yeah.
mind.
Okay. I think it's always unanimous.
It usually is, but only one time.
It's easy.
Right, and that's, yeah, right. So do we have a motion?
To approve the minutes? I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Okay, thank you. Any correspondence come in?
No.
Darn it, nobody ever writes to them.
No.
I'm kind of disappointed.
Letters tonight, huh?
Darn it. Okay, we'll move along to our maintenance review.
So our first one is at 408 East 10th Street. This was a roof replacement of a replacement in kind of a rubber roof. It was obviously approved without any conditions. So our second one is at 431 Washington Street, and this was a replacement of the door. So it's like a replacement because they came with another type of door, but then they ended up deciding with this fiberglass 3/4 light entry door. And then the next one is 314 East 10th, which they came in front of us last month. It was just more or less, it was everything that could be staff approved. I just gave it its own number more or less for formality. And then the next one is 612 Franklin. That was another roof replacement, another rubber roof. This is at the Episcopalian Trinity Church. So they came forth. So it was a rubber roof as well as putting a kind of a metal banding. The color we ended up going with. So here are the two samples that they
Stone color.
that they provided. So one was an almond, another one was sandstone, and we ended up going with the sandstone color just because it was a little bit lighter, and we felt like it was gonna work a lot better with the stone than going darker.
Hold on,
Yes.
am I hearing what he just said correct? You said because it's lighter, well, isn't the other one lighter?
Oh, you're, sorry, darker, just because of the shading.
The patina, right?
Yeah.
That made more sense,
Yeah,
but then I
I know, I
thought,
was not, yeah. I was
okay,
not-
thank you, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Okay,
Hold up.
And then our last one was at 418 East 8th Street, and that was another roof replacement.
that was the old library.
418, that's the 14,
I don't think they put it.
14,
Besides the word.
replace, it was, I think it's like, it's not the library, they replaced a wood crown, wood trim, and added white wood soffits, fascia along the roof line, and replacing the existing gutter with a aluminum seamless.
Thank you, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, certificate of appropriateness.
Okay, this is for 726 Franklin Street. It's a non-contributing building. Proposed project is installation of an internally illuminated sign. It has push-through letters, so that's the part that will be lit. The finding of fact, the proposed sign is internally lit. Backlit signs are not recommended for the historic district. The building is rated non-contributing. The proposed sign is similar to the existing sign. Where signs must be mounted to masonry, they should be mounted on the building in areas where a sign previously has been installed to minimize new holes in the masonry. Recommended motion is approval as submitted with the condition the sign is mounted in the same location as the previous sign to minimize damage.
Does anybody have any questions concerning that one? Okay. Can we have a motion to approve that?
Motion to approve according to staff recommendations.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same. Thank you. Committee report.
No, I got nothing.
One of these days, we're gonna have one. But
Yeah, we got the event committee, but we have not had time to meet.
Yeah, he told me.
you guys were too busy having events
Yeah.
or attending events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least he's honest. Okay, we'll go to the old table business, and what you sent us I thought was really good. I was proud of myself, I made it through all the pages.
Wow, that is impressive, because that's a lot of reading.
Don't be real impressed, because if you ask me a question,
There's no test.
Thank you.
There will not be a test for tonight.
So does anyone have any questions about all the paperwork that you got?
It's okay, we've got a PowerPoint, so we'll all go through it. But I
Okay.
thought if you had time to review ahead of time, that's great. And if not, I know this is not the most riveting reading, but
Well,
there's some interesting stuff in here, and I learned some things too, so I think it's.
well, since you're our leader, that's good. Very
Yes.
good. Okay, you want to show us the part?
Yes, so we're gonna talk about ordinances, state and local ordinance, and your bylaws in addition to the bylaws. So, turn myself around here. Okay, so state ordinance is where we'll start, because that's kind of where it all begins. It applies to all commissions that were created after July 1st of 1977. So that excludes South Bend and Bloomington. Those are the only two old ones. Everybody else falls under the state ordinance. So the whole idea is to preserve and protect historic sites, buildings, structures, what have you, in communities across Indiana. So this kind of gives a basis for the local communities to build off of. Now, sometimes what's in that ordinance is going to conflict with local zoning or planning ordinances, and whatever's most restrictive is what applies. So the biggest thing it does is it allows cities to create historic preservation commissions. Without that, cities couldn't have things like this right here. So it allows anywhere from 3 to 9 members on a commission. They all serve 3-year terms. They have to be residents of the city where they live, or where the commission is. They have to be interested in preservation, of course, but they like professionals where they're available. Not every town has them, and you can't get paid. So I actually had a town that tried that. The mayor tried to give them all $400 a year, and it conflicted with that state ordinance, so he had to take that back. And it does allow you to adopt rules of procedure bylaws, which you've done several times. So looking at the Michigan City ordinance, it's based on the state ordinance, but then it also allows you can't contradict what's in the state ordinance, but you can expand on that and create some things for your own commission. So it was created in 1980, so it's been around for a long time. To establish the commission, you've got 9 voting members appointed by the mayor, and it asks that you include an Indiana licensed architect, a Michigan City registered contractor, a locally designated property owner. Thank you, Dwayne.
You're welcome.
Member of the City Redevelopment Commission, a member of the City Plan Commission. Now, are you on the Plan
That's me,
Commission?
yeah.
Okay, cool, that's good. Because I thought we don't have that, but we do.
I am.
You are too?
Yeah.
Okay, I did not know that. I knew you were on something, but I didn't know what. Excellent,
Yeah, so we had that covered for a few years.
good, I'm glad. I'm not sure that we've always had that. Maybe we
Well, ever
have.
since Dan's been on, I know we have.
Good. And then, the rest just need to be Michigan City residents and hopefully interested in preservation and development of historic buildings. Every year, you're supposed to elect a chairman, vice chairman, and secretary. The state only requires the chairman and vice chairman. You've got a secretary too. It also says you can adopt rules of procedure, just like the state does. All your meetings have to be open to the public. You're required to keep minutes and have them available to the public. And you're supposed to meet monthly, unless there's no business. And yes, you are to get enforcement assistance from the building, planning, and zoning departments. And we do, to some extent.
Yes.
Better than a lot of towns, much better.
And the city attorney is supposed to help too, but I do.
Some cities, the city attorney attends every commission meeting, and then others, we never see them, so it's interesting. So initially, okay, that's you and not me. Oh, please tell me that's not my phone. When your ordinance was created, you had these 3 districts, Wabash, Franklin Street, and Elston Grove, but you can always create more. That's just what was there then. So you've got the ability to create new districts, and your ordinance gives a lot of procedure on how to do that. We've talked about that some, that you've got to survey the area and create a map. And then within that, you got to classify whether they're historic or non-historic. And further classify if they're historic, then that's where we get into the outstanding, notable, contributing properties. So you'd have to mark that all out ahead of time. So if we get new districts, that's something we'll have to do, is go through those areas and determine what classifications all those buildings would be. And after you do that, then you would submit those maps to the Common Council for approval by ordinance. It also allows for interim protection, which is if a building is endangered, you can rely on that for emergency protection. So it prevents demolition, moving, addition, reconstruction, and alteration. So it just kind of makes a temporary district, so to speak. And that gives you guys some time to act, and you can create that. That doesn't have to be approved by the building owner. You can create that to save a building. It's temporary, but it's useful. And then we've also talked about the phase districts where you can do it in 2 steps. So the first phase is where COAs are only required for moving, demolition, additions, and new construction for 3 years. And then after that 3 years is up, you go to phase 2, which then it becomes a full-fledged district with COAs required for all the changes to the exterior unless the majority of the residents object in writing. And then it just stays forever if it's only moving demolition and additions and new construction. So I frankly don't know of any that have ever stayed at that first level, but potentially it could happen. So it also spells out, the ordinance spells out your COA procedure, says that they're required for any conspicuous change to the exterior. It says you can advise and make recommendations to the applicant before you act on it, which you've done sometimes when people come in with ideas, big projects especially. Applications are approved, denied, or granted a 30-day extension, and if you don't act in 30 days, they're automatically approved. So that's why sometimes we push things through at the last minute, because we don't want that to happen. And there's some other procedures that it really gives you a lot of detail on. So it talks about demolition and the things that you need to prove in order to be approved for demolition, that it's not creating an income anymore, that it's a hazard. There's a number of different things that it'll say about demolition, and all of those come out of the state ordinance. Let's see if there was anything interesting in there that I wanted to talk about. I'm not sure that there was. Maintenance. You can actually, where is that? Maintenance, because I didn't know this. Maintenance of historic buildings. So it says historic buildings shall be maintained to meet the requirements established under statute for buildings generally, so as to prevent the loss of historic material. And then in your bylaws, it actually gives a procedure if you feel there's a building that's not being maintained well in the historic district. We'll talk a little bit more about that you can do something about it. I did not know that was a thing, so that's very interesting.
Well, we can raise the issue, but we don't have any enforcement power over any other properties.
Well, hopefully enforcement will do that. I mean, they're technically,
Oh, we
the
call it to
building
detention.
department should, yeah, so hopefully that would happen. They talk about compliance and the penalties. You can assess penalties, and that's also through the state ordinance that you can assess penalties up to $2,500. It can be very motivational for people that aren't doing things as they should, but it often takes a trip to court to make that happen. Enforcement, as we talked about, building department should be helping us with that. And then it should talk about removal of historic designation. That's a thing that the state ordinance added in 2016, thanks to a case in LaPorte where they went through de-designation. So the state created a very detailed process to remove historic designation. And as far as I can see, you guys have not adopted that, and that's something we should adopt because that's really important. It's not as likely to happen because your districts are very large. But if you get any single sites or very small districts, then it can happen a lot easier because you've got to have, I think it's over half the people in the district have to agree to it. That would be hard with as many as you have. And it has to be the owner of the property and they have to disagree in writing. That would be difficult. But if we start getting some more districts or single sites, it's really something that should be added. So your rules of procedure have been around for a while, since 1998, actually, the version that I have. They've been amended a little bit, but this is the big one. So that contains additional information that's not really spelled out in the ordinance. You can adopt a new ordinance, you can revise it, you can do whatever you want with this without going through the council. You know, if you're, the ordinance you can't do, but the rules of procedure you can, so. Yeah, it was adopted in 1998, so there's a few things in here that might stand to be revised. And this one says you have 9 voting members and 2 non-voting members as well. So
Would that be if the mayor would attend?
I'm not sure. I have some commissions that have like a, historical society person
Like an
that
ex
also
officio member or
attends.
something.
Yeah, that maybe have lots of knowledge about the history of the buildings or the area. Right, ex officio. They
Look
know.
at you and Kyle.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you're right.
So, anyway.
And you better vote what we say, or
For commission members, 4 missed meetings equals a vacant position. So remember that. If you miss 4 meetings in a row,
Is that
technically,
consecutive?
yeah,
they have to be consecutive. Can't just be 4.
it's supposed to be, yeah.
Okay.
If they're not turning up very often, I think you'd still want to have a chat with them.
Mhm.
Commission members are required to attend at least 1 educational meeting a year. So you're all here, you're
This is
good.
educational
This
meeting.
is educational, so, or should be.
Consider it done.
Yeah, so check mark for everybody except
Make
Roger.
a note that this is an educational meeting.
Good. Okay, what else do we have? So like we did last month, chair, vice chair, and secretary get elected at the first meeting of each year. That's in the rules of procedure. And it gives the time, place, and procedure for regular and special meetings. I did notice that it says in here your meetings are at 7, and now they're at 6.
I don't remember them ever being at 7.
They were when I first
When you first
When
started?
I first came, I
Back in
was,
1998 or something?
yeah, it was just about, I was so grateful when you moved it to 6, living in Eastern time zone, that was wonderful. But it got really late, so that's something that should definitely be changed. It also
Well, if
says
you
you meet in the city hall.
If you jump ahead to the amendment process, what does that say? We can vote, can we vote
Yes.
and amend it right now? Can I?
You can. I read that.
Because we need to change where we're meeting too, because in our bylaws it says we're meeting in the city hall.
Right.
So we've got 2 things with it.
Yes, the rules of procedure may be altered, amended, repealed, supplemented, or superseded by a vote of a majority of the review board members, voting at a regular or special meeting of the review board attended by all voting members. So we can't do it tonight.
So is that ever gonna happen?
Well, it says, provided that no such action will be taken in a
Be
meeting.
noticed.
But you can give them, if you give them 10 days' notice, that that's going to be voted on. So if you decide that's something you want to do next time, you can move ahead with it.
And add that to the agenda, to change the time and place of our meetings.
Right.
And we'll have public notice, schedule it on the agenda, and we can vote.
So, and then the amendment will be introduced at one meeting and then acted upon at the next. So in March, you could bring that up on the agenda, introduce it, and then in April, you could actually vote on that.
But now, so then that, what you're saying is, let's just say everybody's here for the 1 meeting, and we say we're gonna do that. Then the next meeting, when we're gonna vote on it, we're not all here.
And they don't all have to be here for the vote.
Okay, just for letting
Just
them
for
know.
that. That way, everyone just had their opportunity to say, if somebody's got a disagreement, they either here. So, okay, what else have we got? It spells out your order of business, so everything that you see here on the agenda is actually right here in your order of business. It allows for committees, which I guess you've got one. You have it. Sooner or later, they'll get together, but that's fine. We've been busy, so.
I don't have enough water, yeah.
Is there any formality for forming or authorizing the committee?
They're appointed by a resolution of the review board or by unanimous consent. So, And they can just act for one time, or they can continue on
Unanimous of those present and
of
voted.
those present, yes.
And we should change all references from review board to preservation commission.
Yes, that's a big thing that needs to happen in here, because
Because
this,
we did that.
we
when
went
first
through that,
started.
yes, and it's never been officially done in the rules of procedure. They're in conflict. We had this discussion like 3 years ago or something.
Yes, we did.
Have we added comments to like every other paragraph at this point? Like, is it almost time to just go through the whole thing?
It might not be a bad idea. I mean, we looked at a new rules of procedure when we were starting to redo the guidelines. And then we just had a lot of changes of staff and it never moved forward. So Indiana Landmarks had created a rules of procedure template. So maybe that's something I could send out to everybody. You could look that over. And that could be a discussion for next month if you want to follow something a little more like that.
I think we need to do that because we talked about it and we haven't done it. Because Kyle came on and it just got pushed back.
Yeah,
So if you don't mind,
I think that would be a great
I
thing.
think we need to start getting it in writing so we can proceed.
I think that's a good idea. Okay, we talked about how to amend, so. Conflict of interest, this was interesting to me. I knew that you need to say that. If you have a conflict of interest, if the case coming up or COA application involves a family member, or friend, or whatever, you need to say that. But I didn't know the rest of it. So you identify the conflicts, and you tell everybody what that is before you even start the discussion. But this was the part that intrigued me. It says that you're supposed to physically remove yourself from your chair, so you are not at the table when the conversation happens and the vote. I've not seen that happen before, but that's actually in your.
But if we can change the rules of procedure, then we can
change
adjust that.
Yes, you can.
So we can keep our chair.
Yes, I'm really glad, but,
Got this lawyer here.
yep, I know, I'm glad. They'll keep us up
Well,
and
I've
straight
had to do
now.
that on the planning commission,
Oh, I bet you have.
where I actually step down,
Really,
or another time we'll just sit there quietly and not participate.
Well, Roger has done that several
yeah,
times.
I mean, that's the usual procedure, that they just not say
And
anything.
I've got a potential client downtown that
Right,
may be involved with that.
so that could be coming soon. And of course, no gifts of any kind, so if somebody brings you a big box of chocolates because you were nice to them, you just get Kyle and I because we don't vote.
I change that to a tremendous gift or something.
There you go.
If they want to buy a fruit basket for the meeting or something.
There you go.
A bunch of fruits, right?
Then it spells out the process if a property owner wants to designate their property. So instead of you guys going out and searching for properties, maybe somebody says, my house is really cool, I want it to be protected locally because that's the best protection there is. National Register is pretty much honorary, so that local designation is what's really gonna protect the building. They'll come to you, and so it spells out that procedure. And that's something that'd be great if it would happen. And they have to provide the history and the significance, legal description, why.
It happened on Cleveland Ave, that more modern house.
Mhm.
The Frost House.
And historic preservation goes back for 50 years?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, unless it's
So-
something really unusual.
So that time period is moving up. So
Yeah, like
There are some that
1973.
theoretically could want that.
It's hard for me to think 1973 is like, that sounds too modern, but that's the year right now, so definitely. It spells out your COA procedures in more detail. Applications, what all's required to turn in with an application, which actually now that's on the application itself, the first page lists all that, so this isn't really
But you
valid.
still got filled in the date of application
Here's one.
and stuff.
Yeah, I filled that in today, yeah.
So that's probably something we're gonna wanna look at, because I'm not sure that that even needs to be in the rules of procedure, because it's on the form, but anyway, it should match what's on the form if it's in there.
It's only critical for the 30-day timeframe,
Yeah,
so we can keep track of the
right,
reference point.
right.
Items not requiring.
Conflict of interest, where did we get that? On-site, oh, yes, so we talked about COAs, and then in here, it talks about items not requiring a COA. So those would be replacement of foliage up to 4 feet full-grown height, landscape maintenance, pruning, stuff like that. Removal of trees smaller than 8 inches in diameter for shade trees and evergreen trees, and 4 inches for ornamental trees. Repair of existing sidewalks, driveways, and steps that are not attached to a building. Don't need a COA. I don't know that I knew
Stairway to
that.
nowhere.
So, yeah, I would hope the stairway's attached. It's just like, who knows where it goes.
It's a beach community.
Any work visible from the street that does not change the present form of the property and is done as normal maintenance. I don't like that sentence. I feel like that could be interpreted in ways we don't really want it to be interpreted. But it's in there, so. The removal of inappropriate fences such as chain link, yes, God bless them. If they want to take out chain link, let them do that. That would be wonderful. So that doesn't need a COA. Installation of a single wall-mounted mailbox near the main entrance on the front. That doesn't need a COA. And approval is not required for roof and gutter repairs, storm damage if it matches the existing, or replacement of part of the roof shingles. Again, storm damage where you're replacing in kind of roofing or guttering. Doesn't need approval. Installation of mechanical equipment that is not visible from the ground. So I think we kind of do that already. It's not a big deal. So those are things that don't require a COA. Then they have the on-site COA procedure. You're the only commission I have that has this, and I've never seen it happen in the time I've been here. That's where a COA can be reviewed on-site. So the chair appoints a committee of 3 commission members. One of them has to be an executive board member. And it can only be for additions or changes to properties or structures rated non-contributing. And then it can only be for fences, windows and doors, sidewalks, roofing, addition or deletion of decorative building features. I don't know, this just doesn't sound like a good idea to me, but it's in here.
We can amend it.
I think it would be wise.
I hope you're keeping track of them.
So,
Let's review everything.
yeah, we will, so I'll send
Yeah,
this
because
out
that's all
again.
the gingerbread that we like people to keep.
Yeah, and I just don't think it's wise to decide that on site.
No.
I don't think 3 people should be deciding that for all of you. So that's what it says. Now, if you would go out and do one of these, look at the project and deny it, then the person would still have to come before the commission. I just don't think this is a wise procedure. No one else does this,
Well,
so
then,
get rid of it.
Yeah. Scratch it.
And finally, we have maintenance review procedure. So this is kind of a similar thing. It's a request, this is the one I was talking about. If a review board member, commission member, member of the public or a city official or board member sees a property that they think should be better maintained, then you again appoint a 3-person committee to go on site, review the condition of the property, and determine if that warrants action by the commission. And if so, you would have to take pictures, identify the last known owner, note the conditions, and then make a report at the next commission meeting. If you don't find enough reason to act, then it's just over. And then the chairperson would request a review by the code enforcement officer. So that's kind of where that goes. So it could be useful, I just don't know that that's ever been utilized that I'm aware of. So, and then last April, one of the last things Aaron did, he wrote up policies and procedures for commission workshops and public hearings. Some of that is useful. I think we turned right around and changed some of it like the next month because I was not happy with the idea that the applicant presented to the commission before the staff report
Right,
was
you
read.
changed that, didn't we?
Yeah, so we turned right around and changed that. I think some of that could be incorporated into your rules of procedure. I don't think we want two separate documents. And then he went on to take some of your city ordinance and put that in there as well. So like your scope of authority, what you're looking at, visual compatibility when you're doing a new construction project. You know, we talked about all that, the massing and the rhythm of the windows and the doors and that sort of thing. That doesn't need to be in your rules of procedure. It's already in your ordinance. So rules of procedure is just to clarify things, or, you know, if something's not in the ordinance, then it's in here. So I don't think that's the place for it. And then there was also a list of things that your scope does not include, like zoning and traffic. And again, I don't know, we don't need that. We're talking about what it is, instead of what it's not.
It's not a lot of things.
Right, yeah, the list would be endless.
Yeah.
Right.
The whole-
So I don't think we want to do that.
No.
So I think that was all I had on there. Yeah, that was my last question. Consider updating, consolidating into one document. So
Makes sense.
I can resend this to people, and then I could also send our template that we created, and then maybe we can kind of just pull all that stuff together next month, decide what you want, what you don't want, clean it up, and then bring that document back for.
Do you have any Word documents?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if we put the ordinances in the policies and procedures, and we have the right to change the policies and procedures, then we can loosen up the
I like
ordinance,
that,
right?
Makes sense.
I don't think we can get away with that.
No.
You're the lawyer, you figure it out.
If you can,
That's
then
right.
we don't do it.
Exactly.
Wow.
So.
Does anybody have any questions that they want to? I wanted to call her so bad. There's a lot in here that she's gone over. And some of the things, especially that Aaron did at the end, I thought, why did we do that?
That's a great question. I was not in favor of that document, but I also knew the end was near. So,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
terrible, but that's true.
No, right.
I didn't think it was worth the fight, but
No, probably wasn't. Does anybody have any questions? I think we asked a lot of questions while we were watching.
yeah, I think so.
And maybe what you're saying is smart if we get something from her, what we talked about, what we thought should be combined, what shouldn't be, makes sense to me if it makes
Your
sense.
samples that used in other communities then? Yeah.
One,
Okay.
and one's reviewing it. Kendallville's using it, Angola is reviewing it. Elkhart hasn't got there yet. So it is in use in some places, so.
Well, it's been a long time. So 1998, I
Yeah.
think it's time for an update all
Yeah.
around, like Greg said, just review the whole damn thing.
Yeah, that's
And
like,
out of our 25-year anniversary.
yeah, yeah, that's not living dangerously, you know, do that, so. I will send that stuff out to you and we can be prepared for a good discussion next month and.
So we'll have a short meeting this month for a long one next month. That's
Bring your
snacks.
jammies
Bring your jammies.
and your
No.
supper.
Ooh, it's-
Under new business, we talked about the training and update on getting the word out. We've been talking about that now, I know, for at least 3 years, trying to get that word out. And we talked about seeing if we could get it in the water bill. And what is everyone's thought on that? Do you really look at everything in your water bill?
I give it to my wife, so I don't know.
So your answer is no.
Yeah.
And what about you, Mr. Hurt? You don't look at everything?
But some people do. I mean,
Because they
you
have
know,
nothing better. Yes.
Could you
So we
explain
just have to have
what it is you're referring to?
Pardon?
Could you
And,
explain what it is you're referring to?
okay, your water bill that you get each month from the city?
Yeah.
We talked about seeing if they would allow us to put a little piece of paper in their advertisement of where and what they could do if they needed to come to the Historic Preservation Committee. Any questions?
People that live in districts that don't, or, you know, people
They
that live in
don't
Elston
know.
Grove or in the, you know, Uptown Arts District that don't know that they're in a historic district, and they'll rip out their windows and put, you know, vinyl windows when there's not really that
So would
material
it just
out.
be on the bills to those people in the districts, or? Okay.
It'd be only, yeah, that would be a way for us to get it out,
Yeah.
basically free.
Would it appear on the online bill as well as the paper bill?
No, they don't allow that. I don't know if they would consider that, but right now they don't allow that.
Because I think quite a few people get their bills online.
I think more and more people are doing that. Well, we can ask.
What are the other vehicles for
We talked,
advising people of what they're required to do?
we had real estate agents, we sent out paperwork to them probably 5 or 6 years ago. And of course, a lot of realtors, it's changed. So I don't know if that information was passed on or not. But that to me was a prime one. But at work today, I had a prime example of a house that is in historic, and they wanted something done. And I just said, only because I knew, have you checked with the Historic Preservation Commission? What's that? So they just moved into this house 3 months ago and had no clue. So that was a
Definitely needs to be
big,
part of the title company, or when there's a closing,
right.
something needs to be, something needs to switch hands.
It has to be part of the full disclosure.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
It should be, when you,
Just
yes.
At one point, there was mentioned that in LaPorte, it's part of the title or something.
Right.
The deed.
It
and
Post
it's-
office or something.
Nowhere else does it like that.
LaPorte's the only town I know that's got that, but it's fabulous because people know and it's.
And they have a
really
very
good.
strong district, you've said, they like, or their commission, not district, but their, no.
They do.
Well, they,
We're
okay,
down to two
just a couple
right
people
now,
now,
yeah.
but
Created
But they're
the
trying.
land away. But yeah, it's like,
Wow.
it's scary right now, but they'll rebuild and they'll be good.
So what
But,
would you have to do to get the title companies to do that?
I don't know what process they use. I mean, you'd have to get hold of a title company, I guess, and see what information
I'll
they
talk to them, I
need.
do a lot with Meridian Tile here in
Okay.
town, so I'll
Okay.
check and see.
Oh, thank you. I think
Great.
that would be a big step, because like I said, this couple had been in the house 3 months, had no clue.
A couple things I've seen other communities do. Well, lots of them have a budget, so that helps. If y'all had a budget to work with, you know, they'll send out postcards or letters, you know, different
Yeah.
reminder mailers things once a year, which is really good.
Because that's not expensive at all. I mean, that's really affordable for the
Yeah.
500 houses in the district.
Yeah, it would not be costly, but we need shekels to work with, so there's that. And then some places you've got people that just keep an eye on the for sale signs, and they contact the real estate agent and they say, hey, are you aware this is in a historic district? Please make sure you tell your people, you know, and send that on to them. Same thing when that house sells, they monitor the maps, the, you know, GIS maps or whatever, and see what properties are changing hands, and then you get that new address or new name for that address. Send them a letter, hey, welcome to the historic district.
And check with the county surveyor and the GIS management people, because they put like zoning classifications on the beacon things, so they put things there, so maybe they could add a field for historic
Yes,
district.
that would be
And a
wonderful.
lot of brokers will look at that as they prepare.
that's a good idea.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, I like that.
So, are you going to look into that for us?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
That would be great. And then further, I've been having some conversations, Todd Zeiger, our director of our office, myself, and a couple people from LaPorte trying to figure out, since LaPorte's very low on commission members, we're kind of trying to figure out how to work through that, and then also incorporate what used to be their group called PEP, preserving, I don't know
People
what it's-
preserving,
people,
yeah.
whatever it was, and now it's a different name for that. Now it's something about preserving historic LaPorte, I think. And they've got different people and a different focus, and so they want to be active doing things, and the commission, is doing more the enforcement sort of things, and like, how can we work together for the good, and to really get the point across that it's not just saving buildings, but the economic benefits that I think a lot of people aren't aware of. So we're having another meeting tomorrow, trying to figure out what we're gonna do. We're trying to bring in a couple really good speakers to talk about that, and they're kind of hoping to include Michigan City with that, since you guys are not terribly far apart. I'm not sure exactly who we're getting. We're talking to the National Association of Preservation Commissions to try and get a couple of their people. There's even been some talk of reaching out to Donald Ripkema, who does place economics. I would love that. He's so good. He's just a pure economist. He wants to, he wants to talk dollars and cents all the time, but looks at it from the preservation standpoint. So that often wins people over that don't get that end of it, that it's more than just the cool building.
What was his name?
Donovan Ripkema, which is RYPM.
Sound it out.
We'll finish it up.
There's only one vowel and it's at the end.
Google will get there, okay.
Yeah, so Place Economics is the name of his organization, which is really good. So yeah, look that up. So those are some things that are coming, hopefully this year. Just not sure exactly what that's gonna look like. We just had a workshop that Greg was at in LaPorte, which was crazy well attended.
That's great.
That was so much fun,
Insane.
yeah.
Yes, we had a great time.
See, and
So-
what we should have had is a book report. You should have came here and reported.
Well, then I would have stayed the whole time, so.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I still win.
Does it?
I got to see the Rumley Mansion, yeah, it was cool.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
That was
there's
part
some
of the
cool tile work
attraction
in there,
right
that was
there,
a
yeah.
big part of it, yeah.
Oh, I
See it
bet.
before she leaves, yeah.
Yeah,
I had another meeting that day and I couldn't. I really wanted to. but
it
I
was
just
good. So definitely want to think of some kind of workshop here, I think, this year, if you can.
I know we talked about it. We really should name something and we should name a date and we should just do it.
Yeah, there's a committee on it.
Oh, right.
Once our friends are above water, yeah. Because Amy's got some cool projects on her plate.
I'm in contact with someone from the Barker Mansion about
That's
either
what I was
having our
thinking.
meeting there, September, October, and fall after they open up. I've also asked, I don't have any information, but just if you've ever been there, that downstairs they have the meeting room and they have a video that they play about history.
Yeah,
I've asked to see if we could get access to that for our meeting, whether it's here or there,
that would be great.
That
and
would be
then
great.
broadcast to the public or get it on.
Mhm.
I don't know what the copyrights are and what their interest is, but just trying to inquire about some things there and bring them their participation in historic preservation.
That'd be
Excellent.
great. Well, they've done a lot and the old Lighthouse Museum is doing
Yeah.
a lot too.
They are.
And that's another place that,
Would be a cool place for a workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Small.
It's extremely crowded, there is no place
Too
like it.
tiny,
Yeah.
no,
Outside, maybe in the summer.
Fingers crossed,
Never
yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, you couldn't all be together in the building. You'd have to be on different layers.
Shifts.
Yeah. But if they would do a video, that would be great. And they're talking about, I don't know if they will or not, but that would be good too, so.
Yeah, we're working on a video with the Lighthouse Museum that's covering the changing coastline. So that'll be launched in September.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be
Got
great.
Indiana Humanities, Lakeshore Money, and NIPSCO funding it.
Cool. It's good.
That's probably the more fun project I get to work on right now.
There'll be more.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
There will be. Okay. So we've got a lot of homework. So you're gonna try to find out some more things about getting stuff out. We're just kind of like dead on that, so we really need to work on that.
I have another comment about that. When we distribute information to these residents in the district, is there a way of informing them or, of that? Are there what are the sources of funding for somebody who maybe lives in a historic house, it needs a lot of work, but they don't have the financial resources to do the work?
There's nothing.
What is there, what can we offer, how can we assist in that?
Yeah, Horizon Bank has some good loans for people that are in the, medium to lower income range, the ones that probably can't afford to
So you
do
have to
that.
qualify for it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's income-based, it comes through federal housing, I think, but through Horizon Bank. So there's several good programs they've come in and done a presentation here in the past, and I was in conversation with them actually in the last month. They're getting ready for a new cycle. I think the money comes out in April or something, and they only have X number of dollars, and so people need to be poised and ready. But she said the person that's in charge of those loans at the bank would be more than happy to come and address the commission, so everyone here understood how that works, and that would be something we could share, or is something we could do as a public meeting where the public could come in and learn as well. I just need to get in contact with her if that's something you all are interested in.
So the grant facade, or facade grant, grant facade, does that apply? That applies
Only applies to commercial.
commercial. Well, that doesn't help anybody either.
Well, if you have
Okay.
commercial, it helps.
I mean, there are federal tax credits, state tax credits, they're
There's no grant.
challenging to get.
Nothing.
Very little. Okra grants are huge and generally for commercial, well, always for commercial, yeah.
Well, I think
Or
we should
churches.
ask the bank to come and present, and maybe we'd have to move somewhere, open it to the public. Maybe they would let us have it at City Hall, down in one of the rooms down there. Because getting it out is what we need to do, and we keep talking about it, so I think we really should, that's my opinion, act on it. I don't know what everyone else feels, but here we have a brand new member who's already asking, and there is nothing, so,
Well, it's good community service for the commission here to provide the funding, to provide the information, all the different kinds of things, meetings, events and stuff that we can do.
events, oh, yeah.
So when would we be, do you know off the top of your head when those grants are due, when those applications are due?
I want to say it's April,
Okay,
It's April when they start.
when they
But I
start
don't know
giving
when
them
they
out.
end.
I think,
okay,
I want to say it's March, I think it's just a month that people have to
May,
get them,
okay. Okay.
I believe.
Because I'm supposed to be at the Elston Grove Community Association on the 14th.
Of this
I
month,
can-
of
yeah.
March?
Yeah,
I can double check, because I have it written down at home on the notepad when I was talking to the lady, and it's been a few weeks, and I don't remember the specific dates, because I thought, it's probably, we're not gonna be able to pull something together fast enough to really help people for this year.
Well, but we
Okay.
could get something later on so that they'd be ready.
Right, exactly,
year.
because that's the thing, it's first come, first served, so you wanna be poised and ready to get that application in as soon as they start taking them, so.
Well, and like when Amy brought up the other grants, you don't realize that just businesses are eligible for those.
Yeah.
And how many
Yeah,
businesses
nobody
on
knows
Franklin
about
Street now that
So-
are eligible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, that's another thing too, that could be, they should be coming to our meetings to let them know there is an option if they would need grant funds.
so we should check the dates on that because it sounds like we might be moving the next meeting.
let me find that out, and I
Okay.
can send it out.
Yeah, because we'd have to get the information out. Yeah, it is published in the paper. Just a lot of things we'd have to get on board with.
Because as long as I was able to make that announcement at their meeting on the 14th, that's half of them,
Right,
more than half of them.
Right.
yeah, that would be good. Mm-hmm.
Well, so let's let Deb find out. And-
I will do that. I'll
Okay.
let everybody know, so.
All right. Okay, since there's no public here, a person we thought was public and he's not, we will have no public comment. Anyone else from the commission or staff that has anything they want to tell us that we haven't already said?
I've commented enough, so I'm done.
But we like your comments, Dan.
Okay, well, I have a comment. I have a question. So, 7-Eleven Franklin,
Okay.
Oh,
so what's gonna happen with that? Do they have to come in front of us before they, they've got 7-Eleven Franklin's got a nice little, picture up showing you, well, it still would affect Franklin Street just because it's gonna be open to the grass.
Right.
It's
I
not.
have a concern about that too.
I mean, how's that
They're
coming?
proposing this renovation of the building, but they're not touching the facade, which is horrible.
That
yeah,
can't happen.
So I
and
don't,
horrible.
I don't
That
know,
can't happen.
don't we have any say-so or control over that?
Come on, guys.
If it, I mean, if anything to do with the outside, I mean, if it's that brick wall, technically that is
Yeah,
public, that's the public view, so yeah,
Yes.
we would have,
Okay, good.
So we should check that out,
yeah, I'll talk.
because it's already been published in the paper, they're already like,
They're putting up for lease.
Yeah.
Like they're
Yeah.
trying to get tenants.
Is-
Now granted, my conflict of interest with 621 Franklin, just because Bob's my landlord at 613. But, Bob's planning kind of the same thing. He's planning on, busting out on the side too. But I know he would of course do all the avenue, cross all the T's and dot all the I's, of course. But I don't know about the other guy, the 7-Eleven guy, because like I said, it's already up and on the side of the building and the drawing and the layout and I'm like, wait a minute, dude, what's that all about?
Well, it's
We
the
didn't-
same owner, isn't it?
I think it's changed hands.
Oh.
I believe it's
Okay.
sold, yeah.
Oh,
So
Wow,
somebody
I'm
else, I mean, I don't know how familiar they are with the district either, whoever owns it, so I don't know.
that's
I mean,
another
idea.
he would qualify for the facade rebate
Absolutely.
program.
You do it, yes.
Okay, so does he know about that?
Not if he hasn't
I don't know.
contacted anybody, he wouldn't know.
No,
Okay.
it doesn't. I'm trying to think of which owner that is.
Okay.
I just saw when I was walking the other day, I was like, what is that? Why is that all drawn up? I'm like, I haven't seen, that hasn't come before us, so.
When I
just thought
first
that was
saw it in the paper,
interesting.
it looked great, and then I looked close at the little picture of the facade, and it's like they didn't change it. It still has that goofy angled siding on it,
no,
the big
that's not right.
super graphic number, and
I would hope that whoever bought it would want to change
Yeah,
that,
really.
but.
It surprises me
Just a
too,
question.
because they have water in that basement too, how is he?
That's gonna definitely need a full-on reno, for sure.
So is that something you could check into?
Yeah, I
Bob?
can check into that.
Okay. That'd be interesting to find out if this, maybe it is a new owner that doesn't have a clue, or if it's the old owner. Yeah, he tried that once before, so that could be too, so.
Give me some information on the facade grant, Mike.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be in charge of it, so yeah. What information do you want?
Does it apply to awnings? Like, I wanna replace our awning, but that's, it's attached to the facade. It's not part of it, really.
If you want me, I can email you
Okay,
the packet.
okay.
So typically, what we do is we give out, I think it's each building gets $30,000, and then
You allocate.
you allocate,
Okay.
yeah, kind of,
All right, yeah, I would love to know
yeah.
how I could
I'd like to see
improve
that.
our
Yeah,
facade.
okay, I can email that to
Okay.
you, both of you guys.
Cool, thank you. Appreciate it.
Very good, now you have, your list is growing.
Kyle's busy.
I know,
Yes, he will be.
yeah.
Anyone else have any questions or comments? And we will call for adjournment, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, second.
Second.
And I'm sure you're all in favor.
We all approve.
We are.